Consider the following two mutually exclusive projects with cash flows given below. Sketch the net present value profiles for X and Y over a range of discount rates from 0 to 25%. What is the crossover rate for these two projects? Let's begin by calculating the net present value of both projects at a discount rate of 0%. At a 0% discount rate, the present value of the cash flows equals the cash flows themselves, and the net present value of project X is $5,000. This is the $20,000 present value minus the $5,000 cost. The net present value of project Y is $5,100, which is higher than project X. At a 5% discount rate, and in fact at all discount rates, the present value of the time zero cash flows will equal the time zero cash flow itself. So let's go ahead and fill that in. At a 5% discount rate, we get the following present values for project X and a net present value of $3,216. That's the $18,216 in present value minus the project cost. The present value of project Y cash flows are as follows, and the net present value is $3,267. Notice project Y has a higher net present value at a 5% interest rate. Next, let's calculate the present value of both projects at an 11.73% interest rate. This happens to be the project's crossover rate. The present value of project X is as follows, giving it a net present value of $1,215. The present value of the project Y cash flows are as follows, and it too has a $1,215 net present value. Notice at this crossover rate, the net present values of both projects are equal. As we move above this 11.73% crossover rate, we'll observe that the net present value of project X will be higher than that of project Y. At a 15% discount rate, the net present value of project X is $377, while the net present value of project Y is only $357. At a 20% discount rate, project X has a net present value of negative $766, while the net present value of project Y is negative $811. Project X has the higher net present value. At a 25% discount rate, project X has a net present value of $1,766, while project Y has a net present value of $1,832. Let's look a little bit closer at our 11.73% crossover rate. We could have gotten that by trial or error, or a better way is to first calculate the difference in cash flows at each point in time. At time 0, the cash flows are equal. There's no difference in cash flows. At time 1, project X has a higher cash flow by $450. At time 2, project Y's cash flow is higher by $100. And at time 3, project Y's cash flow is higher by $450. When we calculate the internal rate of return of this series of cash flows, we find an IRR of 11.73%, which is the project's crossover rate. We can calculate that IRR by trial or error, or using our financial calculator or an Excel function. Let's look a little bit closer at our net present value profile for both projects X and project Y. This graph shows the net present value of both projects at a variety of cost of capital. Notice the cost of capital along the horizontal axis and the net present value along the vertical axis. At cost of capital below our 11.73 crossover rate, project Y has a higher net present value. This is what we found in our earlier analysis. At cost of capital above our 11.73% crossover rate, project X with the blue line has the higher net present value. Notice, anywhere where the net present value is negative, if we had a choice, we would reject both projects.